here. Let's go ahead and get the show on the road. This is open-ended. I don't have an agenda. It's whatever you guys want to see. I'll do my best to demonstrate it after
I
4 hours of
lose
sleep.
everybody? Or did it just go silent?
We can hear
What just
you.
happened?
Can you hear us? Can anyone else hear Centropy? Oh, he's gone now.
I can hear him.
All right, let's wait for him to
Yeah,
come
I
back.
heard him. I was
Okay.
hearing him.
All right, we'll wait for him to get back.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe
meanwhile,
he broke his microphone.
maybe, right? We're never going to let him hear the end of this, right? All right, so while we're waiting for him, what I was going to do is just go down the line here and say, what do you guys want to see? What do you guys want to learn? Or what course are you just struggling with?
I just want to see you do it all over again.
What just happened?
All right, so Scorpion, you want just a little bit of everything, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. That's fine.
Sometimes for me it's visual.
No, absolutely. That's the whole point of
Yeah.
this. All right, I'm just going to go down the list. Hoyle, anything you want to see in particular?
Shock attack.
Shock attack. Okay.
Yep.
You got it. Okay.
I struggle there the most, I think.
How about you, Centropy? Oh, I think he's still figuring out his mic situation. Hey, we got Keegs in here.
Hello?
Hey, Centropy. Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I don't know what happened. My whole thing just crashed, so I just restarted it.
We assumed you crushed everything with your hands again.
No, being a former competitive gymnast, I have ridiculous grip strength, even still at 53. So
Yeah, so go easy on the mic.
Calisthenics gave me a ridiculous grip strength too, as well as tendon injuries. So like I broke a lot of controllers in frustration on accident too. I get it.
Yeah, so there's a market out there somewhere for titanium controllers, right?
yeah,
And
pretty much.
I actually had a Nerf branded controller once. It was a sponsored thing, and it was so cool. I think I can't
Nerf.
remember
You
if
could
it was
smash it?
PS2 or not, but it was like literally made by Nerf. It was so cool.
I could see that being really good or really bad.
It
All
wasn't a
right.
very good controller, but it was novel as hell.
It was great for smashing.
All right. Well, thank you, Vix, for joining us. Your sage wisdom is always, always welcome. You do such a good job, helping me articulate things I can't articulate. All right. So just again, going down the list here, Centropy, what is it you want to see today, or what that you
I
want to
just
help on?
want to figure out how to improve my flick.
Okay, we'll go over flicks. Okay, Keegs, I see you're in here. I know you want to talk Mammoth. Anything else?
Hey everybody. Preferably flick shots, mammoth, and extremely shaky aim.
Okay, shaky aim. All right. Scorpion, you already told me.
The shock attack as well. Like I think when I drop the shockwave, I don't know exactly where I should stand because I'm constantly going backwards.
Okay, yeah, we'll go over. That seems to be something that everybody wants to see each time we do this is just mechanics with shockwaves, where to throw it, where to place it, where to place your body afterwards, etc. So we'll go over that because that's going to help you in so many courses here. All right, we got piano in here. Anything you'd like to see? Going once. If you're talking, we can't hear you. So I'll come back. We're just going to assume Centropy came over there and smashed your microphone. Yeah, we're never going to let you hear the end of this one, Centropy.
That's okay.
Centropy didn't
I deserve
actually
it.
go smash the mic. You just made that joke, and the other mic exploded. So he
There you
wouldn't
go,
have to.
right? All right. Zach, anything you want to see?
Probably speed peaks and dash defense are the two that get me every single freaking time. So
Okay, okay. So we got a common thread here, which is good. So I'm gonna start with just talking about Mammoth, because the Mammoth plays into obviously dash defense. It plays into shock attack. It plays into combat flow. And then I know that was a general question, or something that people wanted to see. So I'm gonna do my best to just give a general overview of the Mammoth, and then we'll go into the courses that use them.
Real quick with the Mammoth, did we ever establish if there is still acceleration deviance to the bloom? Because at one point, I can't remember which season, I went in and was demonstrating that the faster you flick with the Mammoth, the more bloom you have, which is why you have to flick, wait, and then shoot.
I mean,
It doesn't show on
it
the
doesn't
screen.
show.
No,
I don't
it'll
know.
just be deviation, and you have to watch like frame by
By
frame
frame.
on 120 FPS footage
Well, did you
to
just
actually see it.
did you just volunteer yourself for a scientific experiment?
No, I'm too busy. But if you flick and get a feel for it, you can probably just feel it out.
Yeah, no, I think I
just
will.
won't be able to tell by watching.
I wasn't even aware of that. All right, so we're going to talk about the Mammoth in two main contexts here, because this is a beast of a gun, but it's hard to learn. It's harder to master, right? We're going to talk about it as a ranged weapon and a close-up weapon. So we're going to go ranged first, and that's really what's going to apply to this course, to the Gauntlet, and like 90% of what you would use it for in-game right now, even though it's not in VR. But if you really want to have fun with the Mammoth, close range is a lot of fun. Okay, so first let's talk about range here. Notice the Mammoth has a pretty big bloom, right? So here, I'm going to go back this way. We're going to work these 4 bots here. So they're pretty far away, right? Notice how big my bloom is, right? I'm like by the dots on his head, right? I'm not hitting him. And this is probably the frustration you guys are having in shock attack. You think you should be hitting them, and you're not, right? It's because of that huge bloom. But where the Mammoth comes in really, really, really good is when you ADS, because look at what happens to that reticle. Headshot, easy, no problem. Headshot, easy, no problem. Headshot. Almost a headshot, right? It is such an accurate weapon, and it is hit scan at any range, right? There's no bullet drop on this. So what you essentially have is a sniper that you can just put the reticle right on the person. Notice what happens when I move too. Now this might be different, with what Vix just said about flicking, right? But look, I'm moving fast. My reticle doesn't even change. So you can not only hit people at range, you can be pretty effective at tracking them at range as well. You just have to give that reticle time to close. See, it's pretty quick here. One thing to note about the Mammoth is if you're done moving, it takes a little longer, right? So you have to be ready for that. But this is an accurate weapon at range, right? Where you can just, if I know what I'm doing, right? You don't have to track ahead of them like with a sniper. You could just get the reticle on them, and by the time you just need to make sure by the time you click or you hit that fire button, that the reticle's still on them. So based on how long it takes you to do that, yeah, you might want to lead your target a little bit based on that, based how fast they're going, but you don't need to lead the target because the bullet's going to drop. All right, biggest downside of the Mammoth, and I have the best Mammoth that there ever was and ever will be with this Baron's Double Down, because it has 2 rounds in the chamber. The biggest downside of the Mammoth is this reload. The normal Mammoth will have to reload after every round. So it's a very powerful gun, but you imagine after each one of those you have to reload. But you can do a lot of damage at range, and if you surprise an enemy at range, especially if they don't know you're there, you could sometimes get 2 shots off on them and kill them far, far away, right? Especially if they're more like novice or intermediate, right? So that's some of the mechanics with the Mammoth at distance. You'll notice, though, in frustration on shock attack, I'm ADSing right now. You can't ADS in the air. It's not even.
Promise
It's
you
not
though, you don't want to be able to ADS it in the air. You don't want other people to be able
exactly.
to ADS it in the air, I promise.
I would love it, but I would also hate it at the same time because I love this gun, but I'm by no means the
I'd
best
be
at it.
getting death threats again.
Would- Vix, would that be enough to bring you back to Fortnite?
No.
Do you have like a wish list of what would it take? How far away are we? Like how realistic is this?
How much?
Get up in this
Century,
in
you were
this
cutting out a
room.
little there. Oh, okay.
Hey, Alice, I
Yes.
can't watch your stream on Discord. Before last week, I was able to, but right now I can't. I
I-
can't. When I press it,
Is
nothing's
anyone else having
happening.
trouble?
If you're on the PlayStation, I don't believe you can do that on the console,
No,
can you?
I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Um,
Sorry.
maybe try. We'll wait for you. Maybe try closing out and coming back. Like close the app completely and then come back. If not, then I'll try shutting down my stream and restarting it.
I don't think I can because I don't remember my password.
You
Oh,
don't have to log out.
yeah, you don't have
Just
to
like
log out.
close the app, pull up your recent apps on your phone, swipe it off so it
Oh,
force
I
closes
see.
the app, and then
Gotcha,
reopen and
gotcha,
rejoin.
gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I had to do.
I see.
All right, we'll give her a few seconds. All right, Scorpion, I can see your name lighting up, but I don't hear you.
Also, I'll be aware you do have people asking questions in the VC text chat.
Let's see here. I'll take a moment to go review.
It's only two. I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Wait, in the which chat?
So the voice chat that we're in, the team up
Oh.
01, the little open chat text bubble next to the cog and the invite button at the top.
Ah, I didn't even know this. I mean, I knew there was
Yes,
chat.
yes.
I never even thought to look at this. Okay, so good. We got feedback from Piano, Shock Attack, and Speed Peaks. Okay, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Vix. Appreciate that. All right, Scorpion. How we looking? All right. I don't know how long she's going to take, so I'm going to proceed.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So, where did we leave off? As far as being in the air, you have that same bloom, right? So it is a gamble, and that's the frustration I think we're all feeling on Shock Attack, right? In fact, both weapons, and we'll go over this when we get in that course, both weapons you use there have bloom, right? You can't ADS and get more accurate, so you just got to make the best of it, right? It's not like when the Hollow Rush SMG was in Shock Attack and you can ADS and get perfect targeting on that. I don't know if that was ever meant to be the way because I know ADSing on that wasn't always the case midair. But anyways, so yeah, you lose the accuracy, and that's one of the downsides of carrying the Mammoth is it kicks hard, right? It does a lot of damage, but you have to reload after every round unless you have the legendary one or the mythic one here. And you don't have that accuracy in air. So it's really meant for on the ground, tracking, hitting your shots, and flicking. So let's talk about close range. Okay. See the size of my reticle here? This is a shotgun, right? Mammoth is pretty similar. A little smaller, right? So what you can actually do is use the Mammoth at close range as a shotgun. Now, why would you want to do it? It only has 1 round, right? And you have to reload after that round. Why not just use another
Saying
shotgun?
like swap it like a pump swap.
Exactly. So I don't know if everybody here knows what Centropy just meant by pump swapping, right? Or actually, I'm going to call it double pumping. So pump swapping is just swapping your pump with any weapon. Double pumping is a mechanic that used to be in the game that people really loved because it enabled you to switch quickly from one shotgun to the other. So I don't know if you ever tried this, right? But if I go shotgun and switch to the other one, you see that little timer? It prevents me from shooting it again. So let's do this again. Watch. I'm going to go here. Took me 1.8 seconds because there's a manual slowdown there, right? However, to take that 1.7 seconds, right? Let me do the same thing here. Half a second. There is no delay. So you get to get in, get that kill fast if you treat this gun like a shotgun, right? It's risky though, especially if you're only gonna if you're rocking 2 weapons and it's this gun and a shotgun, if you don't hit your shots, you're in deep trouble, right? So I'd recommend, unless you're really cracked at the Mammoth or at the shotgun or at combat mobility, carry a 3rd weapon, right? And this is your bonus weapon. And where this comes in handy is if you get the drop on people, and you come in with a shotgun, bam, that easy, right? Oh, he was already dead. So say you shock in, right? Here, I'm going to do a better shock than that. Right? Again, 4 hours of sleep, guys. You're going to have to bear with me. Like, a lot. Alright, I'm just going to do normal jumping here. Bam. Right? See, I can just get in here. And it's really versatile. If you remember to reload it, that is, right? And that again, is one of the biggest challenges with the Mammoth. So I bring this up, this doesn't help you with the Gauntlet at all, right? But it shows you the versatility of this gun. So as you're learning how to use the Mammoth at range as part of the Gauntlet, don't forget that this is a very fun gun to use up close.
It can help in the Gauntlet, depending on the situation and the season. Surround it. The uneven 1v1. There's all sorts of situations where pump swaps can assist in your TTK, essentially enough to allow you to stack additional points.
Oh, absolutely. Pump swapping is key to uneven 1v1. I was specifically talking about, with the Mammoth at close range. But yeah, pump swapping.
Yeah.
Pump swapping was the biggest thing I did recently to improve my game. I focused on uneven 1v1, focused on swapping the shotgun and SMG, and it's just dramatically improved my game. I found the number one way I was dying as I'm getting toward the end of the game is it's a 50-50 scenario. We both have shotguns out, and I'm sitting there waiting for my shotgun to reload. Right? As your shotgun's reloading, right? Look at this chaos reloader, right? Switch to that one. By the time I get back to it, it's reloaded, right? So even if I didn't kill him there, so let's use a less powerful gun, right? So I come in here, do that. Okay, well, again, we're going to assume I hit my shots here. I think this guy's not damaged, right? See, you get essentially a free shot at them in between with any gun, right? But the Mammoth, what we're talking about here is it can behave like a shotgun just because of the spread it has. Yes, only 1 bullet comes out, right? But that 1 bullet kicks really hard. So 111 there, 102, you see?
I love the Mammoth. My main thoughts on it are there are essentially 2 correct ways to use it, since it is a hole-punching weapon. You use it and poke people from cover with it, so you are peeking out of cover, out of the sides, over the top, and only long enough to take your shot, or you are doing the gamble method and you throw the lead out, and before you even know if that shot landed, you're in your brain, you're just throwing the lead and then switching to your next gun that has range. So if you've got Mammoth AR and shotgun, for example, long range, flying through the air, you're going to throw the lead out the Mammoth, and then, like I said, without any information from the game coming back to your brain, you are already swapping to your next yeah, thank you. Exactly. And that is the only other viable way to use it, like, correctly, quote unquote. Someone can at me, I don't really give a crap, but those are the two ways you will find the most success with the Mammoth and consistency in doing so.
Yeah, and if you're carrying it, right, like I said, I don't recommend carrying it instead of your ranged weapon unless you're just, you're just feeling it that day, right? It's risky. You don't even have to ADS, right? You just go in and it's like a bonus shot, right? You either hit it or you don't, but you pretend that you don't. It's just like your first shot in. At close range, you're more likely to hit it. At longer range, yeah, sure, maybe throw in a little ADS, right? But switch to that other weapon quickly as possible and start landing your shots because you can never trust the Mammoth. But again, just look at the range here, right? This guy way back here. Oh, wrong gun. That was a headshot, right? Headshot. 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 Right? It's easy.
You can essentially be invincible at range with the Mammoth because you don't have to expose yourself long enough to receive damage. You don't have to trade the ability for the enemy to damage you while you deliver your damage. You can peek and return to cover, and in between those two actions, fire your gun and hit them, and they physically, literally cannot damage you if you do it correctly because of Peeker's advantage.
Yeah.
The latency and time it takes. Like, video games are freaking complicated, and it's black magic that we're able to play them interacting with one another, and we all see the same thing. Like, it is absolutely black magic. And so
I would agree, yeah.
The time it takes for the data to travel is a actual factor that high-level players are considering when they play the game. So when a player flies at you, max velocity, lands on your head, and you die in 2 shots because they pump swapped you, there's literally nothing you can do about it because they had the Peeker's advantage. You had to have some kind of warning to preemptively get out of it. That's why people hate third parties in this game, because most people are too concentrated on the fight right in front of them instead of the 2 more that they should know are coming, like, within 5 seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry.
No, that's never apologize, Vix. That's good information. That's very helpful. All right. Any questions before we take this straight into shock attack and dash defense? All right. We're going to start with shock attack. I was going to say everyone's favorite, but I think they both fall into this category. Okay. So one of the keys here is just turning off the timer, number 1. Don't even worry about or think about, like, what gun do I use? How do I aim? When do I aim? When do I shoot? You gotta be able to shock straight up first. Because if you don't, let's take this SMG for example. If I start moving my reticle, if I start moving my joystick in midair to correct the direction of my shock, it's going to take a bloom that is already too big and it's going to make it wider. Did you see how wide it got there? Right? So the number one thing you can do is learn, pick a spot, pick what distance you're comfortable with. I personally like it a little closer up, right? And just shock straight up and practice that over and over. You can see, even I'm not going straight up, right? Shocking straight up is actually a lot harder than it sounds. But, if you can go relatively straight up, like this is good enough, then you increase your chances of success because you're not going to have to make all those micro corrections. Right there, I made a micro correction, by the way. It's just second nature, right? So I'm going to try to do it without corrections, right? See? Right there. Okay, see right here, a little harder, right? just shocking straight up is the number one thing that's going to help you with this, because it allows you to then just make this a game about aiming, right? And trying to land shots. Okay, so that's the first piece of advice. Actually just come in here and drill shocking straight up. It will also help you just in the shockwave course and in general gameplay. Not that you will shock straight up all the time, but if you can understand how to shock straight up and how to control your direction that well with the shock, you're going to find it's a lot easier to shock in any direction you want. And it becomes a lot more second nature. So yeah, I just would come in here, and until you can get like a good 10 in a row going relatively straight up, you know, just keep at it. And the way I do it is you look just straight down, you throw it at your right foot, and you step in front of it and you jump. The reason you're jumping is you want more height. You don't have to. Jumping also, in a way, lets you see if you're right on top of the shockwave. Creates a little bit of space to see, right? All right, questions on shocking straight up?
Well, jumping before the shock explodes also gives you more room for error because you're further away from the actuation point of the inertia change.
Ah, good point. That's absolutely true, right? Because if you're gonna, you know, if you're gonna shock backwards, the closer you are to the shock, the more of an angle it's gonna shoot you at. So yeah, I never even thought of it that way, but that's 100% true. Okay, so now we go to the challenge here. We are dealing with two weapons that have bloom when you're in midair, right? So it's not getting accuracy here is going to be hard. And I believe, I don't know because I'm not a controller person, but I believe this is going to be one of the courses. There's plenty of courses where KBM has an advantage in my mind. I think this is going to be one of the courses where a controller has an advantage because of aim assist. Vix, what do you think of that assessment?
Yep. Anytime bloom is a factor, controller, as long as aim assist systems are at play, anytime bloom is a factor, the point goes to the input that can utilize those systems because of the bullet magnetism system.
There you have it. Okay, so let's talk weapons. And I've tried every single combination right now, and I cycle through this. I can't decide with these two weapons what makes the most sense for me. Right now I'm on SMG only. SMG up, SMG down, that seems to be doing the best for me. I've done Mammoth only. Mammoth up, Mammoth down. And then I've done Mammoth SMG, where you Mammoth on the way up, you switch to the SMG on the way out, down. I'll talk about each, and I'll show you the approach on each. And I think from there, you just kind of find what works for you. As far as getting the best score on this map without being mad cracked, it probably makes sense to stick with one weapon, and probably the SMG. However, as far as getting skills that are transferable into game, anytime you can run a practice scenario where you are swapping weapons in the middle of an attack, that is 2 thumbs up for making you better in game. You really want to build that muscle memory in to really bake it in so that you pull it off in game without even thinking about it. All right, so let's go Mammoth only. Okay, so that's kind of the best case scenario right there. You hit them on the way up and you hit them on the way down. The way you want to do that is you hit them on the way up. That means before you peak in your jump. And then on the way down, you start slowly, so you have time to like aim and line up your shot and hit your shot. So if I go here, you see how I put my reticle back up? Because it gives me time to line up the shot. This is not about flick shocking, right? This is about lining up your shots 100%. So if I go up here, see, I already messed up, but in that time I messed up twice because that's Mammoth for you. But I think the biggest advice I would have is if you're going to Mammoth on the way down, after you fire that first shot, whether or not you hit it, you flick your reticle up so you give yourself more lead time to line up the shot as you come down. Okay? The other key here that's going to be important, regardless of what weapon you're using, is following these footsteps. Because again, we're not trying to flick here. We're trying to minimize that. We're trying our best to line up the shot. So if you line it up according to footsteps, you know somebody's in this corner. And then I continue to track him if I don't kill him. I know he's there. I know his movements. And I have a chance of hitting him. Okay, so that's Mammoth only. Now we're going to talk SMG only. Similar concept, except you're not going to flick your reticle up and try to line up a shot. As soon as you make contact, they're like, think of them like tracer rounds, right? You just want to stay on target as best you can as your body's moving. So it's like tracking, but it's a different form of tracking, right? But it's the same mechanics. And with the SMG even more so than the Mammoth, I think standing closer is going to serve you better because you can rain bullets on top of their head, which is easier with the SMG. With the Mammoth, it actually makes your target smaller. Because the Mammoth, one of the nice things on this course is if you're lucky, you'll get a headshot and kill them in one shot. But think of that as a bonus. You can't count on that to happen. So with the Mammoth, anywhere in the body, it's going to deal that 91. You can hit their left toe, it's going to deal that 91. So the further away you are, the more of their body is exposed to you. And see, there's the headshot, right? That's, again, just a bonus. Versus the SMG, the further away you are, the more it sprays, right? So if you're going to do SMG, come up here and rain down Fury on top of their head. The other thing is, whether it's Mammoth or SMG, whether you're up close or far away, but especially if you're up close. Notice how the bots form this kind of a triangle, right? Stay near the base of that triangle. Keep these two targets next to you. In a perfect world, you only need to do these two. Always choose the one closest to you. When this guy's dead, I go after this guy. Very rarely you'll be able to clear out both, and then now you can focus on the guy in the back. But I wouldn't even worry about that, because that's when you're starting to get really good at this course and you don't need to listen to my advice, right? Just stick on these guys. They're closer, they're easier to hit, and they're easier to track the footsteps because they're on, you see 3 sets of footsteps here. It's just easier to track, this way and this way. It just feels easier to me anyways. So that's with the SMG. And keep in mind, as you're approaching the ground, you have time to make shots as you're falling, and starting to come underneath that wall. And you'd surprise yourself how many eliminations you get with that very last bullet that makes it over the wall. Okay, so now let's combine the two. You just essentially put those two principles together. You Mammoth on the way up. And this is a perfect example of Vix's point. Don't even worry about whether or not you make the shot. Don't sit there and do the math. Just switch and try to get as many shots as you can. This, once you're good at, is probably the method that will yield the most success. And it's probably what all the experts use to get those crazy high scores on this. But it also lets you get creative, right? If you Mammoth them, you know that you don't need a full other Mammoth shot to kill them. The SMG will finish them faster, right? So that's the other thing that goes into it. Likewise, if you SMG them for a good amount of damage, you know that you can just get him with one shot on the Mammoth on the way up and then switch to another target. So it starts to make you think about these things and, will make you better in this course. It'll make you better in gameplay as you're keeping track of what you're doing, as you're weapon swapping in less than easy circumstance, right? You're midair, you're weapon swapping, you're attacking, you're trying to focus on shocking straight up, you're trying to focus on maybe making corrections in your movement while hitting these shots on moving targets. So this, I know it feels like this course is just a pain in the butt, and it's probably one of the hardest courses to hit par on, along with dash defense, but it will actually help your gameplay more than you realize. All right, questions on anything on this course?
Yeah. So there's no reason to use ADS on this one.
Yeah, ADS has
Correct.
literally no effect because it won't
Yeah.
lower your reticle and it won't zoom you in.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
And it
though,
don't slow you down either, like slow your aim down.
No, it doesn't. But I'll be honest, I still do it out of habit
Okay.
because there are plenty of weapons where you can ADS when you're in the air. So I still do it. I just realized.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, you don't have to.
Okay.
Makes a lot more sense to always ADS, even if you can, if you've got the one-to-one sensitivity for scope and ADS and hipfire as well.
So yeah, this is.
Because, for
far
example,
voice?
you've got a...
Go ahead.
Vix, you go.
What function? Oh, okay. Crap, what was it? Oh, so, like, if, say you've got a weapon and, you know, it's Fortnite. If anyone's like me, a lot of times I forget what gun I've got because I'm paying attention to other stuff. Maybe I picked up a different gun, you know, whatever the example may be. Sometimes you swap to a gun and it's not the gun you thought it was. And when that happens in the air or whatever, for this example, if you go to ADS and you're expecting your sensitivity to slow down because you're hitting the ADS button, but the game is rejecting the input because, well, you can't ADS with that gun. It's not the gun you thought it was. And your brain is expecting that slowdown. That entire time you're in the air, you are most likely, unless you have superhuman reaction times, which very few people actually have as fast reaction times as they think they do. That whole trip in the sky is for naught because your brain isn't going to react and adjust in time for you to really do anything beyond get some lucky shots or some aim assisted shot, you know? And so the point is, if you've got one-to-one sensitivity and you don't have that staged sense when you ADS, that never becomes a problem. No matter how dumb I am in thinking that I've got whatever gun, that mishap never affects my aim. Anyway.
No, I would find that to be the truth too. I think I ADS every single time. I'm one of those people who ADS with almost everything. I'll ADS a shotgun at close range. I'll just do it like right before I hit the fire button, so I start to zoom in and I fire.
If it is instinctive, it's not a detriment to your gameplay. Like, I guess it don't need any names. Like I've seen people.
Thunderburst, I feel like with the Thunderburst, that's not the case because it has that laser with the hip fire.
I mean, oh, with the Thunderburst, I mean, that could absolutely... Yeah, it's got perfect accuracy with the laser at mid-air. Not that one, though, apparently.
Yeah, this is... keep in mind that this is a different Thunderburst than the
Oh,
one
it's
in VR.
modular Thunderburst, not the...
Yeah.
Not the crazy one. And it's not even the same Thunderburst that's in VR right now.
Yeah.
I just talked to Toby about that. But yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, actually. It doesn't matter.
I think this course would be a bit different if we had the VR Thunderburst in here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just like, you know,
like,
before
old school Thunderburst was so hilariously broken that, like, the game of Fortnite did not even start until everybody had made it to the vaults to put the laser sight on the SMG. Nobody fought, nobody did anything worthwhile. It was, go find the gun that I can make the God Beam. And then the game started. Once those first vaults opened, it was silly.
So the last thing I'll say about this course is, you know, you're going to have a run like that where, you know, I'm hitting everything, and then all of a sudden I shoot up and I change nothing about what I'm doing, and I can't land a single bullet. That's just the bloom, and that's just random, right? So don't think you're doing anything wrong. If you are hitting your shots, then all of a sudden you're not. It's there's a certain amount of randomness to this. See, that one was terrible. The two before it were much better. Right?
One technical thing that's hard to stomach too is that creative modes in Fortnite, they generate a lot of money for Fortnite and, you know, a little bit for the creators, but they're never going to be the priority. And so server stability during your sessions in creative will vary wildly, especially compared to VR. Sometimes creative is actually running better than VR. My point is it's inconsistent, and that level of inconsistency is part of what you have to train into your understanding of Fortnite when you want to like get significantly better at it, is that there's a level of variance in everything you do in Fortnite, and you cannot get derailed when the game I'm trying to think of the nice word, not the when the game is not when the game bullies you or janks on you or whatever. For some reason I don't have a family friendly word for it. But you have to not get derailed when it happens, and that's one of the reasons that frustrates me in Fortnite is I get derailed too much when the game breaks and doesn't make sense or whatever, you know, and then I get hung up, and then that's when everything falls apart. So the more
I can't tell you how many times I don't find mobility this season, and I'm just freaking out.
Yeah, like, see, that's just RNG built into the design of the game, which is an aggravating factor much in the exact same way that I was just discussing on a technical level. I'm talking about, like, when you drop down 2 feet and you take 50 points of, you know, green damage for no reason, or, you know, whatever, or you go to Shockwave and your Shockwave blows everything up, sends everyone flying but you. Like, crap like that is what I'm talking about. The more you be prepared for stupid jank, the better off you are playing this game.
Yeah, so I'll be Vix's translator here. For anyone who doesn't know, RNG is random number generator. And there are certain things, and you're going to see it all over this course, especially on dash defense. You get those psycho robots that hop around like crazy, that drive you absolutely nuts. That's just random. You know, when you're in flick shots, and you know that one that comes straight up the middle that you could rapid fire on, that's random. Sometimes the RNG gods are in your favor, sometimes they are not. All right, any questions on shock attack? We're gonna move on to dash defense after this.
Doesn't matter how much time I take. You know, if I can get to 10, I'm happy.
You know, it's
just so hard.
That's the way it works with this course. That was me, and then it's like, okay, if I can get to 11, I'm happy. If I can get to 12, I'm happy, right? You're just gonna make, literally on this course, it's progress 1 point at a time. And every point that you get, every time you beat your PR by 1 point, that's a huge victory. Get up, celebrate, have a drink, come back and do more. All right, so continuing on with the Chronicles of the Mammoth here, we're gonna go dash defense. All right, this one, really the biggest advice I have, biggest points of advice is, one, find a good position and stick with it. I like here, and the reason is you get less chances of a bot camera breaking you, because if they jump over your head in the middle, if they jump over this line when you're in the middle, they're kind of camera breaking you to some extent. But if you're on this edge, you could just track them as they're doing it, right? So don't be so close to the edge that you ADS like this. I would recommend keeping your ADS like this, right? And this way you can just track them. And then here's the other thing. We already talked about it with the Mammoth. Your accuracy is so much better with ADS. So unless they're right next to you and you're going to use it like a shotgun, unless they're just like right here in this corner, ADS. And in fact, out of habit, I'm going to ADS anyway here, unless it just becomes cumbersome to move or see because he's so close to me, right? So you're going to want to, another key on this one, and it seems counterintuitive because you only have so much time to try to get, what is par on this one, 15? To get 15 kills, right? So you're going to be rushing, you're going to be panicking, you're missing your shots, and you're going to go on tilt. Patience. Follow the bots. They're easier to hit if you're just slower and more deliberate with your movements, and you're going to miss a lot of shots, and it has to do with their very sudden, jerky movements more than your aim sometimes, right? But see, when I'm ADSing, that's the best place to hit them, is when you start to see them like go straight up and they slow down. That is the best time. You know they're going to sit there for a second. Okay, when they're this close, you can pump swap, right? I don't. I like to keep the focus on the ADS, and the only time, and this is a personal preference, the only time I'm going to pull out the shotgun is if I get a headshot on them, because one shotgun shot from most distances will kill them after that, and it's a lot easier to hit. So if I see that yellow mark and I get that headshot, oh, I'm gonna pump this guy, right? Here's the other big piece of advice on this course is don't get stuck on one target. If one of them's going crazy or they go into, you know, like right above you and it's hard to hit them, move on to the next target. You only have 2 targets here, right? Only at the end. See, that's the headshot right there. But I guess I already did a shot on him. Only till the end would I really care and be worried about, you know, making sure I stay focused on one bot because you're trying to get that last kill, right? Until then, just go with whatever target suits you. See, I just switched to this white guy right here because I don't know, he's just moving in a way that
because he's white,
right? Because I'm just making it about color here, right? See that I could have hit that shot, but you see he camera broke me there. So when I'm up against this edge, this wall right here, that little area is the only time he can really camera break me. Versus if I'm here in the middle, you know, anytime it's like, okay, that's not a camera break, but that's also more movement than I want to do to try to track a bot, right? The amount you have to move versus what they're moving, it's not commensurate, right? You have to move a lot faster.
Think of the middle as your kill lane.
Exactly, right? So yeah, just you know, usually you can hold ADS the whole time. Unless you kind of lose sight of where the bots are. Maybe you killed one or killed them in rapid succession and you don't know where the other one is. Then you can, you know...
Or you're on controller and your ADS sense is too slow being staged.
Yeah. See, I'm taking my shots too fast there. Like I said, my number one advice until you get better with the Mammoth is just slow down. Take it easy, right? There's no rush. And just breathe. And in fact, that leads me to one of the biggest things I should have started with when it comes to every single course here, is just breathe, right? So many times in the Gauntlet, you're going to get like so tensed up, you're going to get so focused that you tense up, right, which is bad, right? You got to loosen up. Centropy, I'm talking to you. Stop destroying controllers with that death grip. But also moderate your breathing, because when we focus, we tend to hold our breath, right? And that'll work really well for, I don't know how long. It depends on the person. 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. After that, you're depriving yourself of oxygen. You're increasing your heart rate. You get more jittery. You lose focus rapidly, right? Think of it like taking a shot of caffeine and then having the caffeine crash like right away. So what I would recommend as you go through this 15-minute-ish stamina event that is the Gauntlet is modulate that breathing, moderate it, consciously make an effort to keep your breathing steady. It'll help with your stamina going through this course. It'll help keep you calm. Sure, you're still going to have moments where your heart rate spikes, right? Where you're about to get a PR on a course or you're towards the end of the Gauntlet and you think you're going to PR, right? But it's going to help you stay focused more. So this course not only is a great practice for getting a good score on the Gauntlet, it's great practice for tracking with the Mammoth and hitting essentially mid-air, what I would just call mid-air flick shots with the Mammoth, right? Where you track and then maybe you have to do a flick to correct to be able to hit them, right? And it's something that, you know, I'm still working on. I'm not the best on, but you only really get better not by, you know, studying it, right? This gun is very different than any other gun, right? It's by just getting in here and doing it, right? And just see, I shouldn't have followed that guy. I should have just said, screw you, I'm going to the next guy, right?
That actually kind of goes along with something that I was going to mention on the, shock attack. But without going too rambly, you know, there was a safety course for ATVs I took one time, and they were talking about how hesitation causes more accidents and injuries than, you know, just going and doing a dangerous thing. And, you know, they said, you know, if you make a plan in your head and you're going to go across the road, and then you start to go across the road and you see, oh crap, you know, there's a car coming, more often than not, the hesitation of trying to decide in that moment what to do is what's going to get you hit by the car, not running in front of the car. Okay? And so, in the same way, when you go on shock attack and you're on your way up, you're anticipating where they're going to be on your way up. You're pre-firing, essentially. You're lining up your crosshair with good crosshair placement so that they are automatically there when you have line of sight on them. And so at that point you shoot and then you come back down, you're hitting or whatever. If on your way, you're obviously going to be aiming at the last guy you shot. He's got the most damage. If on your way you intersect someone, or there's a guy over to the other side, there is a time and place to just go ahead and instinctively take the shot because it presented itself. However, until you get to a higher level, stick to your plan. Don't allow the hesitation to screw you over, because again, once you're in the air, that little bit of hesitation, you consider the reaction times I was talking about again, that little bit of hesitation can really throw a huge wrench in that entire airborne excursion, so to speak. Like, it's just a wasted segment of time, because then you can't do anything. You go to change target, and then you're like, and then you can't make up your mind. So with what he said, abandoning your target, that is something I always said in shock defense, when they're launching across the field.
Yes.
Know when to give up on a target. Know when the time has come for me to reset and prepare my mind for the next target to launch. That one is a lost cause. And that is the exact same thing he was talking about right there. There's a time and place to abandon your plan, but a lot of times, there's... it feels like I'm saying, hey, do this, but also don't do this. But, I don't know. I guess there's enough nuance there that maybe there's value in it. But yeah, sticking to your plan is the first step, and then modulating your plan on the fly is the more advanced stage. So if he were in the situation, he's chasing a target, he can't get it, but meanwhile, after 5 seconds of shooting at this guy, he sees that one of the bots is, having a nosebleed in the corner, at that point, he is spending too much time on the one. If they were real players, the logic would be, that guy's too good, this guy kind of sucks. Let's get the guy that kind of sucks out, and then maybe my teammates won't be as distracted. We can all focus the guy that's actually good. Or, whatever. However you want to look at it, there is a time to abandon your plan when you are taking too long. Or I'll be trying to help friends that are playing, and I'll say, there's a guy right there, get him. And they'll go to line up their shot, and then, they line it up, and then they start shooting. By the time they start shooting, my advice is no longer viable, and they shouldn't be taking the shot. Or they should be using their util, or, whatever it may be. So, time is a priority, but for the gauntlet, so to speak, he's right. Just breathe, calm your nerves. This is the only person you're competing with, and this is you. Unlike the normal game of Fortnite, where, aside from the bots, you're at least meant to believe you're always fighting other players, It's a PvP game. So, that's the difference. When you're training, less stress is actually good. There are times where you want to apply more pressure, more tension, more stress to literally stress test your skills, but it should not be a hardcore endurance thing every single time you try to play, because then your brain associates all those negative feelings, I guess, with the training process, and you don't enjoy it as much. And when you don't enjoy something, you don't learn as quickly, and you stunt your own growth.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So this one, and I even made the mistake right here where, as Vix is talking, I'm like, man, I just missed 6 shots in a row and everybody's watching me. So then I start rushing. So it's like, I got to start hitting some shots. So translate to that to how you are in the Gauntlet. You're making shots, and then all of a sudden you start missing them. You're like, shoot, I'm totally whiffing this course. You start trying to get shots faster to catch up, right? And that's just going to make it even worse for you.
You alter your cadence and you start to trip.
Exactly. And I'm sitting here telling you guys not to do it, and I just did it because I'm like, I have the pressure of everybody watching me. It's like, oh wow, I suck with this gun right now. See, we talked about the Mammoth earlier, and it's like sometimes it's a gamble with the bloom, right? When you're ADSing, you take that away. But these bots move so freaking randomly and jittery, more than anybody would in game, that a shot that you're like, that should have hit. It's like, no, their movement is so incredibly like jittery and random, you're gonna miss some, and that's okay, right? I think the idea is, the more patient you are, the more you track them, and the more you look for those opportunities, the good opportunities to hit them, like when he was just jumping and kind of peeking and apexing, they slow down and they don't move side to side. That's the good opportunity to hit them, right? The more you look for those opportunities, the less you'll have to deal with the random nature of what they're doing, right? See, this guy's just like if it were a real player in the game, like jumping around, it's like I would have hit that, right? Because their jumps are smooth, their arcs are continuous, right? Not like this stuff.
Also, on a technical level, the bots don't have any latency compensation, and players in a real match do.
There you go. And yeah, so if they're up in this corner right here, again, it's personal preference for me. I never bring out my shotgun unless I headshot one of these guys, because I just like to stay in that frame of mind of the Mammoth. Slow and steady. I'm not like really trying to flick that much. I'm just trying to line up my shot correctly, track them, and hit those shots, right? But if you have headshot damage on them, the shotgun's an easy kill unless they're far enough away. So what's far enough away? Right, 179 headshot damage. If they're anywhere in these 4 or these kind of 3 little panels here, you're good. If they're on the other side of this line, you ADS with a shotgun and you hit them, you're probably not going to kill them. So what do I do in that case? If I get a headshot on this guy and he continues to stay over there, I'm going to focus on the other guy until the other guy comes close, and then I'm going to pump shotty him and then go right back, right? So that's where a little bit of strategy can fold into this, and that sounds silly, but that time you saved might be just what you need to get that one extra point, right? That pushes you from 14 to 15, and you get par on this course.
Fun fact, what you just described in like pro league pub stomping play is actually called setting up a stack. And what it means is you see a group of enemies, you can already feel out how good they are. And so you apply a bit of damage to all of them, reload your gun, and then shoot at each of them systematically so that you can get a stack of kills for a clip. But again, that's just funny that you mentioned that.
I like stacking them up. That's a good way to go. All right, so quick recap. Choose a good spot, stay consistent. Yeah, you can move around, and that's probably going to simulate more like real gameplay, right? And help you more in the game. But if you're trying to get a good Gauntlet score, pick a spot, stay there. I recommend, again, this spot here, as close to the wall as you can get without ADS doing that, right? And the reason for that is they can camera break you right here, but that's it. Over here, they can camera break you here, and then, as they get close to the wall, yeah, it's less of a camera break, right? But it's more, the faster you have to move relative to their speed. And the faster you have to move to keep up with them, the less accurate your tracking is going to be, right? So right there.
Also, hard mode on this scenario is with DirectX 12 and Ultra graphics. You should do it sometime. It's a trip. It's insanely hard, I promise. I'm old and I have bad eyes, but it's crazy hard.
No, that's an excellent point. One thing to note about this guy is, look how dark gray that is, right? Look at the reflection. Now, depending on your settings, that reflection is going to be a lot or little, right? But even on mine, when it's little, it's harder to see my crosshairs. So,
how do you get the reflection down?
You come over here. Because look at where the sun is. And then as far as how I minimize reflection in general, that's just in your settings, right? So on PC, well, the number one thing you can do is be in performance mode. But I'll play DX12 once in a while, and what you want to do is turn off global reflections and ambient occlusion. And then you'll definitely want shadows off on the Gauntlet. That will get rid of, make it look pretty close to the way it does in performance mode with regard to lighting. But even here in performance mode...
Eventually, though, the other might be what you want, because you mentioned you don't want the reflection because you want to see your reticle. But depending on how you are aiming, you don't want to see your reticle. You want the outline of the players, or the opponents, the targets, more. So when you said that, that's how my personal preference would differ, because I struggle to see their silhouette with high graphics and all the shadows and all the grass and everything turned up. So as far as competing on this, my scores always suffer because I can't see the people nearly as well as, you know, I might be able to if I changed my graphics.
Vix in his old eyes, and I say that, I think we're near the same age, so never mind.
I just realized I insulted myself.
Yep, there it is. That's okay. I steer into the oldness. I'm old. I'm fine with it. Okay. Next up. So I think we covered... Okay, obviously, you get better with the Mammoth, you're better here, right? So what I would recommend... I'm not going to go over combat flow. I went over it in a lot of detail last time, so check out the recording, right? What I would recommend here is, you know, when it comes to using the Mammoth, don't use it just by itself. Try to get a shot on that guy, then switch to the SMG, right? The only person I will go Mammoth only on is this guy, or this girl back here. And I'm only going to hit her when I got nothing else going on over here. She's kind of my last resort. The guy that goes here, yeah, he's a Mammoth only that I never go for. I focus on everybody else. So you can get these guys out in one shot with the Mammoth, and then if you're close, you pump swap. If you're still far away, you take your one shot with the Mammoth, and just like Vix was saying earlier, swap to your next weapon, and, you know, pretend it's not going to hit, right? Don't assume it's going to hit. Swap to the next weapon, and if you hit, great. You don't have to start firing with the next weapon, but you want to have it ready to go. So if I'm over here, right, what I'm going to do is swap to this guy. If I'm over here and I miss, I'm going to swap to this guy, right? And keep in mind what we covered in the very beginning with how quick it is pump swapping with the Mammoth, right? Even this guy, in between Mammoth shots, if I just want to stick with Mammoth, I can just, you know, I can slowly chip at him while I'm missing my Mammoth shots. If I really don't want to use the SMG, right? Every Mammoth shot I miss, it's like, oh, I'm likely to get 20 damage with a shotgun, right? So as you're learning to be just better with the Mammoth in general, this is a great course to just practice, right? Even if you're not in a Gauntlet run, you just want to come in here and practice the mechanics of a Mammoth at range, close up, while swapping with other weapons, right? And again, remember, the beautiful thing about the Mammoth is it is hit scan, right? You don't have to lead your target, or rather, you only have to lead your target enough to give yourself time to push that mouse button, to hit that paddle, right? Relative to how fast they're moving, right? See, I'm just going to miss every shot here.
This is probably my favorite scenario. I was tickled pink when I realized he had made this. And I actually have a funny clip where I was goofing off in this scenario while Toby was doing a live training or whatever. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was more or less saying, you know, don't be whipping around, running all over the place, flicking with the Mammoth, you know, you're not going to be hitting your shots, blah, 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 blah. And the clip is just really funny because that's exactly what I'm doing.
This course just feeds my ADD in a good way. Like, I just love to be all over the place, right? And constantly
It's
moving.
a good loop, yeah.
Yeah, because it just, I feel like, yeah, maybe if I stayed and picked one spot like right here or like right here like some people do, I'll get a higher score. But I just love the dynamic nature of this course. It makes it fun, which I think makes me panic less, makes my heart rate not go up as much, right? And then plus, the more you're moving around, I tell you, the more you're going to be aware of your surroundings.
It's transferable.
So just so I guess I will go over a little bit of what we covered last time. Priority is key in this. With points here, priority's not dying, number one, right? Here and here, these are your top priorities. Okay? Actually, I would say your top priorities don't get hit by those barriers that come at you. Duh, right? They do so much damage. Then go for these guys, and then you want to go for the guys who are going to do damage to you. That's this guy over here, right? This guy over here, and lastly, this guy over here. This guy generally doesn't shoot at you unless you leave him alone a long time, okay? I've left everybody alone a while. That's why they're going crazy on me. What I like to do is go for this guy first, then immediately go for this guy. And the reason I do one right after the other is when this guy respawns, I'll kill him. I know I can turn around and know this guy's going to respawn. And there's a delay when they respawn before they start moving. You can line up that mammoth reticle, and you're good to go. So here, I'm going to wait for this guy to reappear. So he's back. He should be appearing soon. Maybe there's a little more of a delay, or maybe I killed this guy faster than I did last time, right? But yeah, that's the priority I would focus on. You want to avoid taking damage from the guys close by, especially if you get hit by this barrier once. These guys can kill you actually pretty easily, right? And then after that, you know, I go for this guy. I only go for her if this guy's dead. And as soon as he comes back, I come back to him. But again, that's my strategy. That's what works for me. I suggest you try a bunch of different things. But I would say, unless you're mad cracked at this, don't worry about this guy flying through the air, right? I don't even worry about this guy. And
yeah, the only time. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, the only time you really need to be worrying about that guy flying across the back is if you're at the point where you run the scenario and you're waiting for bots to spawn every 2 seconds, because that's the high score ceiling currently. The bots do not spawn quickly enough, and they spawn inconsistently once you once you die. And also, if you kill them too quickly, the engine kind of doesn't know what to do, and then you have no idea where the next bot is going to spawn. So by leaving one of them alive for like half a second longer than they need to, and then eliminating them, you can control where the next bot is going to spawn, and it spawns behind you.
One other thing about the Mammoth, you know, we talked about pump swapping it and how at close range it can kind of double as a shotgun. Don't forget that when it comes to these two, especially if, you know, if you hear the sound go off but you already got a shot on this guy, it's like, I don't have time to wait for that reload, switch to the Mammoth. Hit them with the Mammoth. There's one time in the course where these go off at almost the same time. And I know you guys know this. The only way you're going to get both of them is shotgun the first one, switch to your Mammoth the second one. And don't let it get in your head.
Them both with the shotgun.
Pretend the Mammoth is a shotgun in that case, and it'll work. Trust me.
Or you let them intersect and hit them both with the shotgun, but it only works with the shotgun because the Mammoth doesn't pen.
And it only works.
Technically, the shotgun doesn't pen either, but there's multiple pellets, so you're able to simultaneously. You get it.
I would argue it only works if your name is Vix or if you're at his skill level, because that's a hard shot to make. I've done it, but I don't try to go for it. I've done it because I just track one. I track the second or the first one, and I happen to hit the second one also. So I've done it. I've been as good as Vix is on accident. That's what it comes down to.
I think everybody has, because I'm only as good as I am on accident.
Well, there you go. All right. Any other questions on the Mammoth? Right. I know we talked a lot about Mammoth. Any questions before we move on? The only other thing I have on my list here from what you guys said earlier is flick shots.
Speed peaks.
Oh, speed peaks. Okay, let's do that one. I'm not the best at this one, but I'll give you some tips and tricks. I reliably get around, 20-ish. But I can't do like the 23 to 26 to 30 whatever that some people get.
The 33.
Yeah, and honestly, they do it when they do it's a gamble. They're not peeking. They're just running out and trying to time it.
Actually, to get the 33, it's not a gamble. It just requires you not die at all in the gauntlet at all.
Yeah,
I
right.
thought it's 18, not 33.
That's par. We're talking about the high score.
Oh, okay.
Best you can possibly get, I figure.
I
The highest I've been able to do is 33, and it requires an absolutely perfect gauntlet run because every die. Wow, I'm tired, baby. Every death causes desync with the bots. And so, depending on how many times you die, causes variance in their shooting pattern. If you have not died at all, and you go into the scenario and you run it perfectly, every single bot will shoot at the exact same time, maintaining that cadence, so you can run through and never get hit. But the first time you get hit and die, or whatever, it completely throws off their cadence, and you will have to wait microseconds before you take the peak, thus not giving you enough time to hit the 33.
All right, so there's
and you don't even have to do stamina management because you really only need to use the sprint rate at the beginning up to that second shot, and then you don't use sprint on the third, and then you sprint down the hallway to the last. So you never actually run out of stamina if you do it correctly. Sorry, that was a lot of information.
Oh no, that's good information though. I'm just trying to think how to best articulate this. Okay, so I think the spirit of this course is like you kind of peek and then you shoot and then you come back undercover, right? And that's the kind of skill, the in-game skill it teaches you. But doing it that way, it's going to be hard to get a high score, right? That's why people just kind of come in here and they're like, I better hit it, otherwise, see, I missed it. I'm committing, in other words, right? I'm not peeking back undercover. But I'm more likely to get shot. Okay, so what's going to help you do that and line up that shot better and understanding when you can get the shot? I would recommend just coming up close to one of these walls and play. You can see that red X there, right? Right here, I got nothing on him. It looks like I can hit him. I got nothing on this guy, right? You need to understand at what point you have something on him. And there's a small window where you got something on him and he's got nothing on you. And why is that? Well, that's the power of the right shoulder peek, right? This is the right shoulder peek in action, right? Case in point here. I can hit him. It's not just about seeing, right? I can hit him and he can't even hit me, right? So
it's also a peeker's advantage exercise.
There you go, right? So the way I got good at this, the way I used to do this, and I know this goes completely against what Toby probably wants us to learn, is I would come up to the wall and I'd ADS and I'd wait for that red X to disappear and then I'd shoot. And that's the safest way you can play this course. So why am I telling you this if it's like, really not gonna make your in-game skills better? It's not gonna get you a high score on the Gauntlet. Because if you start this way, you're gonna start to get a sense of when you can hit them. So you start to do it faster. Now, I'm ADSing because...
ADSing is perfectly viable for the highest score run, too. I think I have a clip in the Earn Your Belt section, possibly, of the 33-point run.
Ooh. I gotta start cataloging all these... I started to in our belt challenge sheet. Like, I gotta start cataloging all these crazy runs that you guys do. But see, I'm going slower, right? But have I got hit once since I started talking about this? Right? Oh, here's the other thing. This guy, you don't have to get up on the wall. You can be over here. You just gotta hit him.
You don't have to get up on any of them. Yeah.
So here, there are 3 methods. You jump over that wall, sprint jump. You slide, which is riskier. But the thing I like about sliding is you can get fancy and try to do some damage in the slide, right? And if you're really lucky, you actually kill them in the slide. And then there are some people, I can't do this, they just, bam, left shoulder peek, right?
You just did it. Liar.
Hey, that's only because I did the 44 damage with the slide. Otherwise, it would never worked.
Well, see, the way you do the left shoulder peek is just knowing the cadence of the shot. Like I said, if you don't die and you're going for the highest possible score, that diagonal left shoulder across and shooting him in between the cadence of the bot's shots is exactly how you do it, and you do it every single time. This scenario is meant to telegraph a slide into that corner. That's what you're meant to do, is kill him, slide, and then right shoulder peek him. But it's just not optimal for high scores. So that's where there's the deviation between getting a high score and using this to train in-game skills to get better at the game.
So yeah, I would just recommend, starting this way. Just get an idea of at what point coming around this corner you can hit them. You don't have to ADS. Like I said, I'm a serial ADSer, and most of the time I'll ADS if I'm doing this. I actually ADS'd right there. It didn't go full ADS. I started it as I'm shooting. I like to think, like when people watch me play, they're like, "Why are you ADSing all the time?" I'd like to think I do it in a way that doesn't slow me down because it's so second nature. See, right there, I ADS'd a little. The nice thing about that is I ADS'd, and sure, it didn't go all the way, so I don't get the full effect of it. But what if I did, right? What if I came around that corner and I already have my ADS as I'm ready to fire, and then I wait a little bit longer because I track them. Now I have full ADS going, and it didn't cost me any time. So it's like, for me, it's one of those things that can't hurt, could help. But it can hurt if you don't do it like quick. Like right there, I ADS.
Yeah, if you're not fast.
Right? And I don't know.
I ADS all the time too, and I do it with snipers, close range, long range, any weapon, quick scope. It helps if you're able to implement it quickly enough. It is almost never a bad thing. It just really depends on the game and the weapon, though.
But I would still argue that it's just like, yeah, most people, they don't do it. I know Stuntman when he watches me play, Max when he watches me play. They're like, why are you ADSing? You're within like 5 meters with a shotgun. It's just like, I can't not ADS, right? It's what I do.
It's a habit I developed on controller due to aim assist systems because of the snap aiming aim assist, which Fortnite apparently did away with because people like abused it too much. But basically, every time you click the ADS button, it engages a system. It used to engage a system that would do whatever, and that was very common in games. And it would kind of attract your reticle to the target a little bit and help you out even more than what is normal, because it's supposed to only be like a split-second assistance. But, because that was second nature to me, that is how I've continued to play even on mouse and keyboard. And it benefits me in many ways, which is why I haven't culled it from my behavior.
Yeah, I get it. Like, I was never a controller player. I get it from my greatest, like, the way my play style and my greatest strength up until, I'd say, last season was being a distance player. Like, I was useless up close, but you give me a dead eye, I was just, like, I was that guy.
You were the guy in high school that had the girlfriend in Canada, I see.
So I forced myself to get a better close range, but that's where it comes from. That's where I have my ADS from, is I always ADS, right? And so now I do it with a shotgun. And, at first I was letting it get into my head that, okay, this is making me not as good as other people. But then about 30 seconds ago, once Vix, gave me some, validation, I feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, back in Gears of War, it wasn't even about snap aiming, it was about the bloom. So it was about moving as quickly as possible while still tightening the bloom of the weapon for your shot. So you'd click ADS a millisecond before you fired the trigger, and you might as well have not even ADS'd, but your shotgun pellets came out in a tight little pocket and would completely decapitate people in the game. So that, again, it's a reinforced habit, and there was no reason for me to do away with it, because that same exact effect applies to even in this game, to varying degrees. Obviously, you're not going to decapitate someone's hologram or whatever, but yeah.
And yeah, sometimes it's so
I also sent you the link for that clip if you wanted it.
Yeah, here, let me see. Let me get it up real quick. And by the way, every single shot I was taking there, I was ADSing. And some of them you can tell, some of them you can't tell at all because it happens so fast and arguably it doesn't even have an effect. But again, it's can't hurt, could help, right? So I think I'm not sharing my entire screen. If I pull this in front, can you guys see it?
It would appear not.
I'm gonna take that as a no. So let me go back to here. Options, change stream to entire screen. And we're gonna go here. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so where was it? Hold on, let me get it back. Gotta pull up my conversation with Vix, and I don't want you guys to see all the things we're saying about you, so I'm gonna hide that. I take it everybody can see what I'm seeing, yeah?
I get it. Yes.
And then the silence is just because we're all in awe about it, right?
Yeah, because Vix is so good.
Oh yeah, totally.
I tell you, I look at your DX12 clips, not just DX12, but like on epic settings, and it's just like, I don't know what game you're playing. This kind of looks like Fortnite.
I know, I'm the next generation of Fortnite, apparently.
Not breaking a sweat here. Wow.
Oh,
31.
dang. Oh, wow.
Look at all these
there's 31.
reflections on the ground. It's so dark in this room. No, I actually know because I play on. I've been experimenting with DX12. Been going back and forth on it.
What's DX12?
So on PC, it's kind of a misleading. So DX12 is the normal graphics mode. Performance mode, at least the current performance mode, is just a performance version of DX12. DirectX 12 is what it stands for. It's pretty much, I don't know, the platform that it's all built
the
on.
way the game renders the graphics. So think of it as like an engine, essentially. It's not the engine, but it is a way the engine renders the graphics. It's an interpolation process.
Interpolation, rasterization, all those lovely words. So yeah, that's where people choose performance mode on PC because it gives us an advantage, right? If you go into here, look at all that grass that's not there, right? Actually, I don't even know how much grass is normally here on regular mode. So it's easier to see. It looks like, Toby always calls it on stream his potato graphics, right? Because it just looks not as good. Like if you're playing on PlayStation, it looks way better than this, right? But the idea behind this mode is several things. One, it removes a lot of the visual clutter, making the target easier to see, right? Especially if you're talking in action, a moving target. It's going to be easier to track them, see them in performance mode. Two, it kind of gets rid of all that extra stuff. So your processor and your graphics card is going to have an easier time rendering it without, stutters, without dropping frames. So that's the other reason is you get more FPS out of it, but more, less stutters, right? So more steady FPS. Stable FPS is way more important than whatever your peak FPS is, or even what your average FPS is. You want steady FPS. So performance mode is a way to get there. And then also it means you can...
And it's system dependent too.
Yes.
System dependence.
Absolutely. And there's going to be some systems, and this is why I'm playing with it. I think mine might be one of those systems where DX12 actually runs smoother and more reliably than performance mode.
Mine does, yeah.
So I keep going back and forth, and I'm doing all this logging and all these metrics. It's a rabbit hole that, trust me, none of you want to go down because it'll consume your life and keep you up at night. The other reason performance mode is good is it allows Fortnite to run pretty decently on like an $800 PC versus, a $3,000-$4,000 rig that, streamers have, right? So that's what performance mode is versus DX12. So you have these options right here. You'll see in performance mode, again, this only applies to PC. Performance mode on PS5, and I'm assuming Xbox, there is one. I don't know what they call it. It's just switching from 60 FPS to 120 FPS. So you're toning down the graphics. And I highly, highly, highly recommend that because of two reasons. One, the jump to from 60 to FPS to 120 is arguably the biggest advantage you can get. Two, it gets rid of ray tracing, which if you're playing on PlayStation, you have ray tracing on. That's the effect when you come out of a building into the sunlight, and it just like has this bright effect. Like
Even I don't use nanite. I
Yeah.
have everything in this game maxed out and then nanite turned off because the rasterized lighting is better in my opinion. When nanite works as it's intended, it looks, stunning. But when it doesn't, it sticks out like a sore thumb to me, and that's all I can freaking see. So yeah, just like you can run a game at 580 FPS, but it's never going to be stable. And when it's not, that's all I can see. So I'd rather have a lower, stable frame rate any given day. So
Absolutely. Yeah, on like adventure games, one player games, right? Role playing games, whatever. Having that ray tracing makes it way more immersive, makes it look way more realistic. But in this game, yes, it looks better, it looks more realistic, but it makes it harder to see things. You get blinded. You have more intense shadows inside of buildings, which makes it harder to see people. So ray tracing, it's not only going to give you, not your FPS is hard to be steady unless you're on really really good hardware. But it's going to make it harder to see things. So if you are on PlayStation, Xbox, console, whatever, switch, and they might call it different things, but it's a performance mode that switches it from 60 FPS to 120 FPS. I think the PS5 Pro has a further option to do 120 FPS with ray tracing. I don't know how to turn that off, but I would look into how to turn that off if you're on a PS5 Pro. All right. Any other questions on speed peaks? All right, I think flick shots was the other thing. So I'm going to do my normal spiel on this, but feel free to interrupt and ask questions. We have, less than 30 minutes. In fact, I'm going to call this at 10:50, so I have time to take a break before master training today. So I'm gonna do my usual spiel, but feel free to interrupt and ask questions and all that good stuff. Okay, so when it comes to not this course. All right, is my timer off? Good. When it comes to this course, there's a way to do this to like simulate and get better in game, and then there's a way to do this to get better scores at the Gauntlet. So I'm going to speak to that second part, right? Sometimes gearing your strategy to do really good in the Gauntlet is not what you would do in game. In game, I would always recommend moving around. Don't stay still. Move around, right? And try to hit your targets as you're moving. You maybe even throw some jumps in here and there. Try not to fall off the platform, right? That's more real in game. But when it comes to getting a good score on the Gauntlet, I recommend picking a spot and sticking with it. I recommend this spot right here. Gives you a good full view of everything. It allows you to chase this guy down here if you miss him. It's perfect lineup with this guy and this guy, right? It's a good, not a perfect lineup, I should say it's a good balance between lining up these two guys. So just pick the spot and stay here. I don't recommending ADSing on this, although you can. In fact, Max, last night I saw him get his PR of 54 on this course with ADSing the entire time. He was just trying, I think he tried it for the first time and it just worked for him. So give it a try. It might work for you. For me, I don't ADS on this. As far as moving around, the difference it made for me is when I move, my top score was 55. When I sit still, my top score is 60. So it makes a big difference, right? The biggest advice I would give on this is it's called flick shots. And yeah, if you're a cracked player, you can do this with 100% flicks 100% of the time. But really, I like to call it flick then follow. You flick to get near your target, and then you follow. And then in doing that, the smoother you can make that motion, the better. So the example I like to give is this guy. if I always center my reticle back here. So if I go after this guy, I'm coming this way, right? If I just try to flick him, sometimes I'll get it, right? Oh, that's not him. But because he's moving this way and I'm moving this way, it narrows that window of time where I can land that shot. It actually makes it harder. Also,
it's
if I
the
just
same thing with when you ADS. It removes the gap in which you can make mistakes if you're ADS'd. You know, when you hit your shot, you are much more consistently going to hit the shot. But also with this scenario, like you were saying, you flick and follow. You don't even have to follow for long. You just have to make sure that you're not flicking and firing and moving away within in between the server ticks, because that's another level of variance that will change depending on the day, how much strain the servers have, whether you're in VR or creative, all that stuff that you can't control. And the easiest way to alleviate it as much as possible is in Fortnite, do not flick too fast. Flick on, wait just a millisecond. Like, it doesn't have to be long, because, you know, there are 30 ticks a second for the server, you know, so it's very fast. You don't have to wait a long time, but you flick, wait, shoot. Flick, wait, shoot. Flick, wait, shoot. Or flick, wait, shoot per center. Flick, wait, shoot per center. Flick, wait, shoot per center. And that will increase your consistency tenfold, simply because you understand one of the technical limitations of Fortnite.
In short, you flick too fast, server ticks can't keep up, and you can miss a shot that you should have made, right? And you have to be really good at flicking for that to happen to you and for you to notice it, right? But it is a thing. Notice on this guy, I don't flick at him, I flick underneath and then I follow in this kind of arc motion. Likewise with this guy, I come this way and then I follow him down, right? And the reason for that is if I flick and then flick back, that's jerky motion. It's hard to maintain. I'm actually just double flicking rather than flicking and then trying to follow. It's just too jerky. The more fluid you can be in your movement, the better tracking you have, right? So see this guy come up next to him, right? This guy come around. I did it slow that time. But I would recommend starting this way. And here's the other thing. I should have started with this. My advice applies to KBM, right? This is flick shotting with the mouse. Controller is going to be different, especially with aim assist. Aim assist means you might want to move around to trigger that aim assist to help you a little more, right?
Yeah, that's a very valid point. That this is probably a hot take, unpopular opinion, whatever you want to call it, but quote-unquote flicking is far less a viable thing on controller, given the sensitivity required for the quote-unquote flick to occur, because a flick, by its nature, is quick. Like, that's what it's implying, that it's very quick. And the reason for a rebound, other than crosshair placement, say you're watching a doorway, you've got your crosshair head level to pop someone's, you know, noggin when they come through the door, and then all of a sudden to your left, you know, 75 degrees to your left, there is a window and somebody just walked through it. Snapping to their head, eliminating them, and returning your good crosshair placement on the door is insanely viable. Plus the rebound, where you quickly flick, shoot, and rebound back. The reason the rebound exists like a rubber band is due to stopping power. Because if you just try to flick normally, there's going to be that little jitter after you flick so fast and hard. You know, like inertia, it's a physics thing. And so if you work a rebound flick into every flick, and then just make sure that your rebound puts you back into good crosshair placement, it can be utilized perfectly in games for advantageous things that also lead into better habits like tracking and whatever. If you can nail a 180 and a 90 perfectly anytime without even thinking about it, the modifications to hit, you know, 80 degrees over 90 can be done on the fly much easier, because the brunt of the mathematics was done already. And so back to the stopping power, you rebound to fight that inertia of flicking to your target quickly, and you fire in between that, like in that millisecond, in between the rebound or the flick and the rebound, you take your shot, and the rebound is specifically to give you the stopping power to stop on target. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. I think that was your long way of agreeing with me. Yes.
Absolutely. Tracking is king, and you know, if you're gonna flick in this game, flick and wait and then shoot.
So another thing to note, this guy and this guy, you have 2 chances to get them pretty reliably, right? So don't forget that. This guy goes, you can track him and still get him. This guy, you can go all the way down here. I've hit this guy like way down there, and I got him with one of my pellets because I didn't hit him good enough the first time. So yeah, I recommend this kind of flick then follow. Also, I recommend take your time, go slow, right? I'm gonna go slow right here. It's more important to hit your shots than to be fast. Being fast, yeah, that's gonna be what gets you a high score. The faster you kill a bot, the faster they respawn. But to build up that kind of skill to be able to do it fast, you gotta start slow. So I would just go slow. And then as you get more and more comfortable with it, you're gonna find yourself naturally picking up on speed. And then you're going to start flicking faster to the point where you're going to kind of be doing the flick and follow, but to everybody watching, it just looks like you're straight up flicking everything and you're a master at it, right?
Yeah, you want to focus on slow, like you said, and the first stage of increasing your speed is increasing your rebound. So take your time on your shot, and then when it doesn't matter being accurate, that's when you start implementing your speed. So when you return to your crosshair placement, your point of interest, that you're, you know, keeping your crosshair at head level for those enemies that might pop out and spook you, you know, work on speed there. And then as you get those drills in, returning to your center, you will start to culminate to different ranges, and then your flicks onto target will, as a result, become faster. And then one feeds into the other, which feeds into the other, and it's just this cycle of improvement, and you just get faster and faster and faster.
The other thing on this one, just like with slide and shoot, you want to aim for their shoulders. You don't want to aim for headshots here, because the shoulder's enough to kill them. Right? You're going to get more shotgun spread on the body as you aim. So when I do this, whenever I see yellow, I almost, yeah, it kills them, but I almost think, okay, I could have just as well lost that one, right? So aim for the shoulders, and then always return your reticle to a kind of the same general area. If you're here, I recommend it being kind of in this area right here, because one, you want consistency. You want equal chance to get to your bots. You want to kind of build a little bit of muscle memory, right? 2, if I'm over here, if I just shoot this guy and I'm over here, I can't see what's going on to the left, right? So always return here, right? And then 3, where you can rack up points really quickly if the RNG gods are in your favor, is this guy right here. And if you're right here, you just bam, bam, bam. I've gotten like 6 in a row here, and it happens faster than you can get 2 bots out of here, right? So that's the other reason. Let's see. Something else I was thinking
Another RNG factor that will come up a lot if you're going for a high score, like the highest like leaderboard kind of score, is you'll get to the scenario in a run, and if you are realizing that you're not getting enough middle spawns because the RNG just hasn't favored you, you just emote and start the whole freaking gauntlet again, because you know you're not going to break your high score because the RNG is not cooperating.
Absolutely. And the RNG, this is the one you want. For me, this is the one I want. This is the one I want the least, right? Because I'm over here, I'm flicking opposite. So what I do is I wait till he gets closer, and then if I'm up here, I'll follow him a little bit. I'll try to increase that window of time I can hit this guy. He's my favorite. He's my second favorite. He's all right. I hate this guy. All right, what else? As we were going through this, Max, I was thinking, as you were doing the Gauntlet yesterday, and you just randomly decide, hey, I'm going to ADS, and you start landing every shot. I think I know why. It's because it slowed you down. It's a matter of sensitivity. it slowed you down and it
Yeah.
allowed you to do the flick and follow. For those of you who don't know Max's play style, he's a better flicker than I am. Ironically, on flick shots, I do better than he does because it's not just flicking; it's flick and follow. But he just goes with these mad flicks and gets them. It's just like I couldn't even do that. What this did, so those mad flicks, those aren't as reliable. Number one, and number two, you run into the server tick issue that Vix was talking about. ADSing forced him to slow down because I told him I was watching him as he was doing it yesterday. I'm like, you gotta slow down, flick and follow. He's like, I can't, I don't know how. When I try to do it, my score cuts in half, right? But when he ADS'd, it forced him to do exactly what I was trying to get him to do, right? The challenge with ADS is I can't see what's going on to the left, but that's okay because if you get the timing down, you know a bot's coming if nothing appears here, right? So anyways, Max, that's what I think helped you with the ADS, is it helped you kind of slow down and make this not just about flicking, which you're really good at. It makes it about flicking and following, which is the combination of flicking and tracking, right?
Yeah, because like in game, I usually hit all my flicks, but like it's different in game than right here. They don't come at you.
Exactly, right? And it's kind of funny. You think it'd be easier here because they're all following reliable paths. And then here's the other thing. Again, this is called flick shots, but Toby himself will tell you he's not that good at flicks. And we watch him on stream. He frickin' slays, right? How can you do that if he says he's not that good at flicks? Well, I think it's combining the flick
Always situations where that is necessary.
Exactly. It's game sense. It's avoiding situations where that's necessary. But it's also, I believe, this kind of mechanic of you flick to your target and then you have your sensitivity dialed in so that you can start making micro adjustments, right? So flick to your target and then make micro adjustments. In this case, I say flick then follow, right? Versus people who just try to, flick and get it on the tip of their flick, right? And I'm not even that good at this, right?
Well, I was about to say, let's break it down because it's exactly the same thing. It's a flick and follow kind of situation. It's a flick, a micro adjustment, a shoot, and then a rebound. It's just going at different speeds. It's a drilled repetition experience kind of thing. Once you do it enough, you have the muscle memory, and you know that you can, especially if you're using your other senses like your ears. Okay, maybe not so much in Fortnite because of the visual audio and whatever, but you use your ears and you're already seeing before you turn around. You can hear, if you have the map knowledge, you hear where they are, what they're walking on, whatever, and you're visualizing in your head before you even whip around the 180 degrees to shoot them behind you. And so you flick, and then there's a very, very fast micro adjustment with your fingertips to get it on their head. You shoot, and then you're back to business, and you're not thinking about it, Like, I could probably source several clips to show you what I'm talking about, where maybe they aren't all from Fortnite, but where I will flick around and shoot somebody behind me, and then I'm already flicking around 180 degrees to shoot the person that I was originally shooting at, because they were no longer the priority because they're facing the wrong way or whatever, but I'm taking damage from behind. And by the time I'm shooting at that second or that initial person again, I realize that I landed damage, I got a hit marker, but it wasn't enough to kill them, and then I have to flip around again and do it again. So it's all the same thing. It's just varying degrees of speed in which it's done. So anybody can do it, given, they have the time, patience, whatever, and to varying degrees of success and speed.
I agree. And that's why I say, you flick and follow, and as you get better and better at it, you get faster and faster, and then it doesn't even look like that's what you're doing. It looks like you're doing a straight up flick. But trust me, it's there. Every time I'm doing this, even when you guys see me going fast, it is still the same mentality of flick then follow. I'm not trying to get right on the target and then like do this type of thing, like some of those, really good flickers do. So as a comparison, I think you guys have seen me do it enough with flick and follow. I'm going to embarrass myself for a second and just try straight flicks, and you'll see how inaccurate I am. See? Can't get it. Even that guy, who's super easy for me, See, I'm just not hitting my shots as well, right? All right, maybe I'm just getting a little lucky here, right?
And you'll have to also realize too that what we're seeing is not what he's seeing. The color depth, the bit rate, everything affects, you know, what we are able to see versus his 240 FPS or whatever he's got it. Yeah, it's 240. Okay, so you know he is seeing twice as much or this is 60 FPS, so he is seeing more than twice as much information than we are, and all of that at a certain point when you're engaging enough of your muscle memory and you're tuning out the information that the game is giving you that you don't need. At that point, your brain is able to make those specific calculations very, 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 very quickly.
Yeah, it's such a huge difference. Yeah, the stream is 60 FPS versus 240. Now, I would argue most of us north of 120 in most circumstances, we wouldn't even notice or feel the difference, right? But that difference alone, say I was running 120, I'm seeing double the information. 240 is not going to be quote unquote 4 times the information because the eye can't really absorb all that. It's going to feel smoother in a game like Fortnite where the server's ticking at 30 hertz, which is kind of like 30 FPS. It's not going to make as big of a difference. But yeah, it's at 60 to 120. It's going to make it so much better. And that's where Vix is saying, you know, I see so much more and I'm able to land these shots more than if you guys were, you know, to try to control my mouse somehow over stream at 60 FPS. It would be clunky as hell. And that's why I say the number one thing you can do on console is put it into that quote unquote performance mode and get 120 FPS. Number one. Number two, make sure your TV can support that refresh rate. And natively, not a lot of TVs out there will have a feature. They each call it their own thing, like, you know, where it'll simulate smoothness. It'll actually use take a look at 2 frames. It's just the same thing as frame gen on PC.
It's frame interpolation.
It's frame interpolation.
It makes your panel even slower, and the TVs that do this are already not very fast. Even if they're pushing 120 hertz natively, what you really need to be paying attention to for video games on your panel is the input latency, like the pixel response time. How fast does the signal from the game get through the TV to your eyes? That is the main, most important thing. And most TVs prioritize the smoothness of the image, whereas even just like audio sync isn't really that big of a deal as on a movie, as compared to a video game where you're clicking the button. If your gun fired a couple milliseconds after you push the button, you would probably notice.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you're looking at monitors, one, reach out to Vix or myself, right? We can help you. But if you just want to go out there and buy one and you don't know what all that means, the shortcut is get an OLED because they have the fastest response times. You don't need it, right? But you know you're getting fast response times on an OLED panel versus, you know, any LCD panel out there. But yeah, if you're looking for new hardware and you're not sure about the whole, you know, what's FPS, what's hertz, what's response time, what is the gray to gray time, all that, you know where to find us.
That's why I moved my PlayStation to a desk and a monitor.
Yeah, there you go. That's the other thing. I'd recommend playing on a monitor over a TV just because I've done both, right? And having it closer to you and being able to see more of it without like it being too wide, that's helpful as well. A lot of pros, they play on
It's your scope of vision.
Yes.
Your scope of vision is only so big, and so then you're looking at different corners of your TV when it's 65 inches.
Exactly. Think how far your eye has to track moving from the center of your TV to the corner of your TV. Now, of course, this is going to depend on how close you're sitting to your TV, right? But think how far it has to track versus if a monitor's right in front of you. You want to limit the amount you want to track, and the only way you want to have a wider scope of vision is if you're actually on an ultra-wide monitor, because that's just extra information that can't hurt, could help, right? Otherwise, you want to keep everything kind of tight. That's why a lot of pros will play like on what 21-inch monitors, 24 tops, because it keeps everything nice and tight. Whereas most of us, like the standard monitor out there that you'll go get, starts at 27 inches usually. All right, so
If
10:55
I
here.
might chime in real quick on the refresh rate, besides just frame generation on PCs, besides the latency, what you'll notice is that some things might start artifacting, and what artifacting is that certain elements in the game, like peripherals or like a character, like his hair, for example, it'll start like stuttering across your screen. And sometimes it'll get so bad where you'll have screen tearing, which is basically where two parts of your screen, it almost like it shifts.
Yeah.
And it's very small, but when you're trying to go for a big gauntlet score, like they're talking about, you need to limit how many distractions you're going to be dealing with. And you want to look for hard performance. So, what does that mean? Like, you don't want to have anything to do with frame generation. You just need hard performance. And you need something that will be 120 hertz, not simulate it like they were talking about.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Because even if you avoid the artifacting and the screen tearing, which you're likely to not avoid, um, it's a simulated 120 frames. You're not getting the information. It just feels like you are. It's tricking you. It's giving you those extra frames. But if in between two frames, right, somebody steps into your image and you can start to see them, it's not going to know that, right? When it creates that imaginary middle frame between it. So you're not going to get that information. So it just feels like you are. It feels smooth, but it's not the real thing. You're not getting the real information. But yeah, just the more you can go native, the more you can go, stability at native, right? The better off you are.
Is that the MPRT
Can you
thing?
hear me? Guys, can you hear me?
Hey Mo, yeah, we can hear you.
Guys, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can
Hey
hear
Mo.
you.
Yeah.
Sorry, say that question again.
Is that like you're saying the speed at which it can do it, like not the frame rate or the hertz? Is that the MPRT one?
MPRT. I'm not familiar with that acronym. MPRT.
Is that like the amount of time?
MPRT.
I mean, like for instance, this one's 1 millisecond.
Moving picture
MPRT.
response time. How long a pixel remains visible and static on the
That's some
screen
bullshit.
dictates clarity. It's kind of like gray to gray. Yeah, that's pixel responsiveness. And that's going to be important. And that's where I said, see, there's several factors to measure latency, MPRT, gray to gray, when it comes to how responsive a pixel is at appearing and changing color. And that's where OLED is the cheat code, because it's going to give you all of that super fast natively, even on the cheapest OLED panel, so long as it's really an OLED panel, right? All right, guys, we're about done. Maul, thank you for that last tidbit at the end. I think that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Vix, thank you for co-hosting. Always a pleasure, and always great to hear the deeper level teardown and articulation for this stuff. Thank you, everybody. I'll be posting this to YouTube. But yeah, everybody, good luck with the grind. We're in the home stretch here, 3 more days. Keep up the great work. You guys are doing awesome, and I can't wait to see the results and being able to report on them. All right, guys.
Okay, thank you.
You all have a good one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
One question. Training is in the training general, right?
Yes, training general. So yeah, I know it probably looks like it's here, but I'm going over to training general right now.
Yeah. All right.